welcome everyone to Politically High Tech with your host, Elias. I have a great newcomer. This one's going to be great, and I'm going to tell you why it's going to be great. This is stuff that you definitely need to know about. Yes, I'm going to make this almost as essential as oxygen. Yeah, because look, data is more valuable than before. Okay?
Yep.
It is, I would say, the new gold. And trust me, advertisers, data brokers have made lots of cash. If you want to use conservative measurements, millions. If you want to use a higher estimation, even the billions. Depends on the company, the scale, and all of that. I mean, it's a lot. I mean, data is valuable. And why do you think you sign up to these social media companies for free? You're already paying with your data. Okay, so that's the cost right there. It might sound a little creepy to you. It is creepy. Let's just be clear. It's very, very creepy. But we're going to talk about what's the not so creepy part about it. Why they need to track you. Why? Look, I personally feel spooked still. Even though I know about this, I would say over a decade ago. And I had my suspicions because every time I talk about something, the ad will pop up. If I talk about pizza, I would get a pizza ad. I said, no. This is too accurate. I miss the days when ads were stupid. They used to sell me, I don't know, like women's lingerie. I said, what a stupid ad. I used to laugh at that. But now it's so scarily accurate. And this is how they're making money. So I have a guest here who has expertise on data and tech. I'm going to have him elaborate his credentials, expertise, and all that. Let's welcome Walter Harrison. And
Well,
what do you want? Oh, I'm sorry.
I said, thanks for having me, Elias. I'm glad to be here.
Oh, yeah, no problem. I want to make sure that gets heard very clearly. So what do you want the viewers and the listeners to know?
Yeah. So basically a background in location intelligence, right? So trying to understand consumer movement at a global level, but also primarily focused at the national level right here in our backyard in the US.
Wow, if you're trying to compete for shortest intro, this is gonna be the run. This is gonna be the runner up for sure. You probably get a silver or a bronze medal. But you can elaborate a little bit.
Yeah, happy to. Yeah. So our background, trying to understand that you and I as consumers are using apps every day, the apps that are free primarily. And what we try to educate people about is there's a cost for those apps. It's really not free. You're really playing an exchange, a data exchange per se, your data in exchange for free service. And you talked about earlier, Elias, how your ads have gotten so targeted. If you're listening to this right now or watching this, think about your Instagram ads and how targeted those Instagram ads are and how much have you purchased. Maybe you don't want to admit how much you purchased, but people purchase a lot from Instagram. And that's because they have so much data on you and they can targetedly show you the best product or services. Some people say they're listening to me. Some people say they're following me. I'm here to saying all the above is possible in the data ecosystem. So be aware. But ultimately, you're playing in the data exchange, and so am I.
Yep. I mean, like I said, I'm going to reiterate, I miss the days when ads were very dumb. I am talking about, if I'm going to go back, I'll say close to 2 decades ago, ads were just dumb. They just throw whatever at you. But now it's so targeted. The algorithm is so intelligent. I could just ask, I don't know, if I'm going to throw a crazy example. If I want to cross dress, I'm going to get an ad with women's clothing. Okay. If I just say something like that, is that targeted? Because look, they want to get your money. I mean, that's the bottom line, right? Just simple without getting told the technicalities. Is it creepy? I would personally say so. This is how they get their money. But so the first question I have is, how can they track you? I mean, you already said by the time you go to I accept, I acknowledge, all that long blah, blah, blah that me and 99% of people don't freaking read.
Yep.
We just sell our data to them. I mean, how are they tracking us that effective?
Yeah, it's a great question. There's really a couple ways we're doing it. Let's start with Wi-Fi, right? So you and I, we're at our hotel, we're at a coffee shop, we're at a co-working space. You get on their Wi-Fi. You're just trying to check the box and get to work, right? Typically, we're not really paying attention, but in those terms and agreements, in the EULA, the end user license agreement that we do not read, of course, they're going to take your IP address. They're going to take your MAC address. They're going to take your cookies. They're going to sync it and map it and enrich it to all this other third-party data that exists. That gives them an understanding of the browsing behavior of you and I. Some of it you're proud of, maybe some of it you're not. On top of that, all these websites that exist all across the web have that little meta like button, right? Like, why is there a like button at the footer of a shopping website or a random e-commerce website? That gives a signal back to Meta that you and your cookie have been there. So that's kind of how the browsing world exists, and it really exists around retargeting. But then back to your actual phone, you and I are downloading apps, and I'm sure we've all seen this notification. This app wants access to your location. You can allow once, you can allow while using, or you can allow all the time, right? And for most of us, are like allow while using, allow once, and maybe some of us are allow all the time. I don't really care. But those three alone will give them permission to get access to your core GPS location. That is your exact point of your house, exactly where you're at in your house or your hotel or while you're traveling or driving. On top of that, that's one app, but there's, 3 million apps in the app store, tens of thousands of apps that request location. All you need to do is start mapping pieces together on top of the web browsing data. And I got a pretty good picture of Elias of what he's interested in, where he wants to go, what he's interested in buying, and how I can sell him things online.
Yep. So, listeners or viewers, are you still freaked out? I don't blame you. I'm still freaked out despite knowing this a decade ago. Not to brag, but if I would have said this, and this is way before I started the podcast, of course, I would have been called crazy. As, are you sure you're not taking your meds, or you conspiracy theorist? And I was afraid of that label, even though I had a gut feeling I was right. But we humans are social beings. If we were logical creatures, we would have been far more transparent with truths and facts.
Yep.
But we are social beings and we need approval of others. And even for time, I like to be logical and fair-minded, but even at times, as I'm a human being, I'm going to falter or be a hypocrite because I'd rather protect myself from shame and still keep, connections with certain people. I mean, we all have done this one shape or form. Some are very obvious, some are more subtle. And this is why I will not admit that 10 years ago, even I had an idea that I was being targeted. And this is a time it was pretty smart. It was getting it right. Now it's just practically spot on. Spot on. Okay. And look, it's smart for the advertisers. If they know I want something, and give me the ad because I'm likely to buy it. We humans, we buy things of needs and wants, and it's very smart, spooky, but intelligent. Is it ethical? I don't think so, but it's still effective marketing strategy. You cannot deny the effectiveness of it. But do I like it? Of course not. But this is reality. And maybe at some point I'll start going off the grid. I don't know. Maybe I'll become an Amish or a cave person. I've sarcastically said before, if you want to reject AI, become an Amish or a cave person.
Yeah.
And I don't think the Amish people will accept you. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, the other thing I would say in reverse, maybe you're listening to this and you have a business yourself, right? You're launching a company, that company or a physical cupcake store or gym or whatever, a yoga studio. This data works in your favor, right? Now you can target people who are yoga visitors, not people who liked yoga 20 years ago, but who went to a yoga place last week or buys this type of, bougie coffee or travels frequently. That it works in favor for the business, small to large. But I would say for most of the last 20 years or so, it has helped the largest businesses, the Targets and the Walmarts and those type of companies. But now as our company's trying to do it, Who Came By, we're trying to get that to go down to the small to medium sized businesses, give them the same punching power as a lot of the Fortune companies.
And that's the exception right there. Despite, look, I got my concerns and graves, but you know what? This is good because this is giving small businesses, which I've an art for, are targeted, very specific, and they can help them have a fighting chance to survive. I mean, look, I'm in New York City. It's not very friendly to small business. So this product will be very helpful for those who are struggling and have at least someone who is tech savvy to navigate this. Let's be honest. And of course, I think even better, and this is me being a little bit of idealist now, I don't train other, appropriate workers. I don't think anyone should use it. I don't know, unless it's the future, but everybody does things differently. You do what applies to you at the end of the day. But I think this is a good tool for small business because they need it. And you're right. And the ones that have targeted me, and I'm just going to list them. This is not the shameful ones. Target. Yeah. Target has gotten me. Pizza Hut. Yeah, man. That pizza exam. It was from Pizza Hut. Okay. And when I was just too lazy to cook my own food, McDonald's and Wendy's were competing. and it's fascinating. But I like this one, and this one I would like to push more often because small businesses need every help they can get. I mean, just you don't
Do.
have to be an expert, you don't have to be a tech genius to know this. You just gotta know by walking the streets, talk to people, just pay attention, just be alert. Okay, then you just know what's going on. This is not a tech thing. This is just someone small business, and I try to shop small business, and small businesses and different businesses normally catch my attention. Anyways, I mean, do I shop big businesses? Yeah, I mean, begrudgingly. I mean, and talk about bougie coffee. I do like me. I can't believe this is slipping me. I think like Bloomstone or something like that. Yeah, I drink the Aussie coffee. Yeah, that's definitely the bougie side. But I love the taste. I love it. I'm a stereotypical millennial on that. That $7 latte, wherever the heck. I'm proud of that $7 latte. Okay, it makes me happy. Deal with it. Deal with it, you haters. But let me just be quiet. My little personal rant. I could just fight against anyone who's anti bougie coffee. Look, you drink cheap coffee. I'm not gonna be against you. Everybody got their lives, whatever.
Oh, listen,
Don't insult.
you're talking to a bougie coffee guy as well, so I'm not going to complain.
Yay! There you go. Chicago to New York City. There you go. We had the lines there. Bougie coffee. Look, it's better. It's just better for you, okay? Is it going to hurt the wallet? Yeah, if you spend like a drunken sailor. For me, of course. Of course it is. I'm not going to debate that. I'm not going to be, the Kool-Aid say, it's so great. I hope you make money. Well, if you use that energy productively, yeah, that's all I'm going to say about that. All right. Enough of my first world issues right there. Now, anything else you want to add before I get to the next question?
No, let's dive in. I mean, I definitely would say bougie coffee, you're maybe a powder coffee, regardless, all that is still data, right? There's an audience for bougie coffee. There's an audience for powdered, add it with water and milk. There's an audience for all of it. And they're not the same.
Oh no, they are not the same. Even though I would like to push this Puerto Rican coffee that I've been loving right now, but I'm not gonna do that. Definitely in the future. Definitely in the future, especially if it tastes really good. I gotta go through my little taste. I'm a bit particular. Yes, the bougie, a bit particular. The texture has to be right. The color gotta be right. The size gotta be, yes, all of that. Look, I know the cheap coffee, you just get your little iconic cheap Greek design, just your $2, whatever, just pour it, you go.
Mm-hmm.
Fine, that's yeah. But I'm bougie coffee. Yes, I'm a little extra, if you will, and I'm proud of it. All right. So there you go, data people. Have fun with my data with that one. And I don't know, give me some
We
Japanese
definitely will.
coffee,
We definitely will.
Arabic coffee, foreign coffee. Yes, I'm very left wing when it comes to coffee. No American coffee, anti-American coffee. All right, let me stop fooling around. Now this is actually going to touch on this a little bit. And we could definitely expand and instead of not just politics. I mean, no, let me not ask it that way. How these marketers know my political leanings more than my parents and best friends and whoever I trust? I mean, how do they know? Besides, I know I gave them a crap ton of data once I agreed to their terms of this. I mean, anything else you want to elaborate on that or add something that most people are not
No,
aware of?
I think this is the part where it's most enlightening. And we've done studies like this in the past internally with our company. So the question is, how do marketers and the whole ecosystem know your political leanings if you've never said, hey, I'm a Republican, I'm a Democrat, I'm a Libertarian, etc.? Well, I think a lot of the places we go tend to show us and show them your political leanings. Now, you can be a generalist, right? If you say Burger King, McDonald's, and Wendy's, yeah, that could be on both sides of the spectrum. But I remember doing a study, this is back in 2015, 2016, looking at swing states. Swing states. So think about Wisconsin and Michigan, these purple states to your purple logo. Like if you're trying to find purplish people, how would you do that, right? So in an example, we look at large cities, like let's like Milwaukee or let's look at like Madison, and we think they're conservative, but we don't know for sure. Let's basically geofence, which is basically drawing an imaginary line around a city and find people who are purplish. We're not really sure where they're going. And let's see if they're going to church. Let's see if they're going to gun stores. The gun stores in general will automatically say not purple statistically, right? We'll put them on the right category. Churches could be both ways. So now we're looking at urban or suburban. And that could basically kind of give you that answer in conjunction with other data places they've got. They go into Whole Foods and Trader Joe's and, these type of grocery stores versus your Costco's and your more rural markets. as well. So think about all the data that exhausts that you're just kicking off into the world. The apps you're using, the websites you visit, the music you listen to, the car you drive, your home value, your zip code, all that together on top of where you go, powered by AI lies. It's no question. It's no question to understand where someone's political leanings are.
Political profiling. There you go.
Yes.
But yeah, wow, that is, I mean, that's still pretty enlightening to me. I still say I'm pretty hard to figure out because some of my day will say I'm to the right on some things. It's some things I'm saying I mean, the church I'll go to, they'll definitely label me as a Democrat. I do go to an urban, church. I mean, it's New York City. I mean, unless I go to, I don't know, deep upstate or something, I go to that church and then they'll label me as more of a Republican. But the food stores I go to, I think it's a bit of a mix because I do go food town, but every time I do see a Whole Foods, I'm gravitated towards that. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. When I feel like being a fiscal conservative, I'm bipolar. I don't know. I don't want to go there. I go to Trader Joe's instead. As look, I think the day might have an interesting time with me because
We got to
I
look
am
you up,
bipolar.
Elias. We're going to
Yeah,
find
yeah,
out.
look, yeah. We gotta find where I really lean. Good luck with that. Now I'm gonna be changing my patterns for sure. There you go. But yeah, have fun with me on that one. I mean, look, I already said this before. Culturally, I definitely favor the left. When it comes to fiscal responsibilities, I favor generally the right. That's like the most simplest way I could put it. But even if you dig deeper, even certain issues, I deviate a little bit depending on fiscal responsibility. So yeah, no, I'm sympathetic towards, the food stamps and that for those who really need it. And that's why I lean a
Definitely.
little left on that. And then when it comes to the cultural stuff, I was like, I think, it'd be great if migrants could just be I remove the word assimilated. Integrate better to America. I think is good enough. And I always say I think the most rational standard will be fourth or fifth grade English. That'll be my rational standard. Do I enforce it? No, because some are just not gonna learn, and they got families that will help them out with that anyways, to be that interpreter and all that. So migrants, they find their ways. They're resourceful. I like migrants. I am pro migrant. A good amount of my friends are migrants, so I'm not for closing the border. Yeah, I lean a bit left, but at the same time, there's times I agree with Republicans only against the violent criminal migrants. Good luck figure out my data is right there. See, there's times I will side with Republicans. Yeah,
Yeah,
that vermin right there. Oh yeah, that gang. Oh yeah, do whatever. Use a Republican rap now, but not the poor, lady who's trying to sell, churros and ices and all that. No, I'm against it. She's trying to make a living, man.
exactly.
Think. See, that's the nuances that and I will swing, but I always stay to the center for some reason. I always favor the left and right center zones. I'm anti far whatever. Well, I'm military against if you're like super MAGA or far left, I'm easily against you right there, and I don't mind being aggressive at times, especially if you're trying to shove the agenda against most people that are not going to agree with wackiness on both sides of the aisle. But one of them recently called me I'm a militant middle. I
Mm.
was like, you know what? Maybe I am, but I'm not going to stick to that for too long. But that is interesting about political leanings and where they could target you. It's okay. I think Liza's a bit of left here. Let's just on some more Whole Foods. I did have a few Whole Food ads, so I mean, no surprise right there, right, people? Anything else you want to add before I get to how this is even being utilized or
Yeah, I mean,
weaponized?
I would say on the political side, number one, we don't really do political stuff at all. Just full caveat there. But I was just saying, like, it's happening, right? As a consumer, and I'm a consumer as well. I think we should all be aware that this exists in the world. And as a consumer, if you want to stop that, there's ways to stop it. But let's not be naive to understand, like, and how did they know that I was interested in buying that or going there? My political leanings, they know. And honestly, you're kind of giving that information away. And if you want to change that, you can, but otherwise, you're playing a data exchange. And so am I.
Whatever, I evolve, so have fun with that. I mean, overall, I'm not the most, not alarmed, but I'm not too worried about that. But, I still find it just generally spooky. But am I afraid, become paranoid, or just want to get off the grid? Absolutely not. That's just not practical, people.
Yep.
But look, support people who are pro small business. Okay, this is a pro small business podcast. Anti corporate. You can say I'm pretty left on that one. I do agree with big corporations not paying their share and all that. I think it's utterly ridiculous. Yeah, now when you can label me a left when it comes to like big corporations, small businesses, I'm definitely pro small business. I just think whatever policies work for them, I'm more in favor of that. Sometimes I agree Republican than Democrat, so I'm a little interesting on that. I'm a little more interesting on that issue. Comes to big businesses, oh yeah, I'm definitely with the Democrats. So pay their fair share, raise their taxes.
Yeah.
Generally speaking, that's just me. That's just me. And look, I know somebody's gonna be asking these questions in the future, but I do throw little sprinkles. I'm revealing myself little by little, and sometimes I am going to change. I am going to change, because I've been doing this for 5 years, so some change is going to happen at some point. I'm not going to stay the same exact guy forever. It's ridiculous. I want to get my tech skills so I can just find out. Alter. First of all, I'm not that interested. But if you tell me the political leanings, I don't discriminate people based on political leanings. I will discriminate based on character is
Yeah.
more that not political leanings because I have friends both left, right, center, even libertarians now. I don't really care your political leanings. That doesn't bother me that much. I love to have conversations with those, and I could disagree, and disagreement doesn't equal hate. It's just different points of view. We gotta learn how to talk to each other. The tribalism is out of control, okay, and it has continued to, I'll say for the most part, get not better. I don't know about worse. Maybe it's getting worse. I think it's more room for that argument. And me, I'm really am a purple. People just can't figure out. Oh, I thought you was a Democrat, and I even switch the things. And look, if this certain guy makes it, I'm not voting for that one. I don't listen. I go for. I'm not a partisan loyal person. I voted Democrat. I voted Republican. I even have voted Independent. I go by the person and the ideas. Not
Yeah.
because they're red, not because they're blue. We have to stop doing that. In my honest opinion, I don't care where you're at in the spectrum. Go for what you think is going to work best for you. If you know you need government benefits, oh, that's easy. You go Democrat, okay? That's an easy one. Your gun rights, you know which party to go to, all right? Just vote whatever is the most important issue. All right, enough of my yammering. Anything else you want to?
No, I think that's right. I think on the data privacy world politically, I think that's kind of one of the few areas where there's kind of alignment, right? I feel like the left and the right, they both use the data. Like they both spend billions of dollars during the election season on meta properties and location data and stuff like that. The privacy angle, one minute they like meta, the next minute they don't. I think meta kind of is favoring Trump right now and rubbing his back. And there's like a Trump alignment right now. So they're kind of like in favor with them, but companies are thinking shareholder value, their fiduciary duty, and they'll kiss whoever they got to at that time to continue growing. And that's not a hot take. I think it's just a reality. Survival is for a lot of these corporations are doing.
I agree. I said, look, someone's going to turn to Trump because it's just where the political wind is going, where the power is at. They're going to do, just like you said, they are beholden to their shareholders. Wherever can increase the profits, they're going to kiss a blue butt, red butt, whatever political butt you're going to kiss. No, they're gonna do that, and that's why I told you protesters. Why are you gonna align with these companies? They're gonna just do whatever is good for profit, and they're gonna betray you as soon as things get inconvenient, and
Yep.
especially when things turn. All right, so
Yeah.
stop. Well, especially when companies support protests and protesters liking that. So yes, I'm gonna be honest. You're stupid. You're not a real protester. Real protesters gotta, fight for, not physically fight. Okay, don't twist my words now. But fight as in protest. Constructive. Can you be annoying when you protest? Yeah, you can be. I might not like it at times, but yeah, you can be annoying. You need to generate attention. But of course, I'm against the violence and all that. I don't care if it's left, right, or center protests, and sadly, their fringes, they're violent as heck. And I'm sure there's data on those folks too. They try to hide it. Trust me, there you are being watched. There you go. Let me spread that spook to you, especially you extremists. This is why you get caught. All right. So there you go. Weaponize that spook. Weaponize that spook. Especially the extremists of left, right. Look, like I said, I don't believe in partisan loyalty. I just think it makes a person dumb. And just like you said, these tech companies are kissing the Trump butt right now because that's where the power is. But I'm sure. Let's fast forward to 2028, if not 2032. A Democrat's going to come. They're going to do the same thing to the Democrat. They care about one color, the green, the dollar. Okay, that's what they care about. The red and the blue, that's temporary. It switches. It switches. Okay. So that's what you need to know, people. These companies are just, they're loyal to the shareholders and the bottom line. Okay. Which is the green. Red and blue is just a different, that's just like the switch or the power. Okay. Blue, okay, kiss the blue blood for these 4 years, kiss the red blood for these 4 years, whatever. Or if it's 2 term, of course, it's 8 years of that butt kissing, then we're going to revert. Okay, that's just how it generally works, people. So don't expect them to be loyal. They're not going to be. So, and I want to say it's for you for the butt kissing. You kiss so much butt, get your head out of your butts, protesters. Get it out and just see for what it is. Okay, why this is, and I love that example because that's a very profound and obvious example. If you don't know this, is because you're not paying attention. You need to really pay attention. They care about the bottom line and the shareholders. Because we're not doing a good job, that boy will do whatever they can to get rid of that. I mean, look at that Target CEO recently.
Yeah,
Very
gone.
good example. Yep. They
Target,
lost.
Nike CEO left, Starbucks CEO. I mean, like, listen, they don't really care if you're not providing value and bringing our stock up and to the right. You're gone.
Yeah, this is not a left blue talking point. This is business, especially
Yep.
at executive high level leadership, highest leadership. You're not making them if you're not providing value, like he said, they will rally against you real quick. Either
Mm-hmm.
going to pressure you to quit or they're going to vote your butt out. So that's the pressure that these CEOs are in, and other people in the leadership. Okay. So
Mm-hmm.
just keep that in mind. You don't need to win everybody over. That's what I've said. Some were encouraged by that, a little too encouraged. Hope I don't encourage the wrong people. One of them was almost like a socialist. It was like, oh, really? I don't need everybody. No, you don't. America, I think you just need like a chunk of America. You don't need all of America to agree. If they reject, just go to the next person. That's what I learned how to do. Rejection used to hurt me when I was when I was in my teens and early 20s. Okay. That's how you should be tough. All right. All right. All right. Now I'm getting too much. I'm getting too political here. Eli, get back to the tech stuff.
Zone it.
All right. Well, yep. That's that. I mean, we're going to stay on the tech track. I mean, I can easily, I can even mix some spirituality, but look, another thing about spirituality, churches, if you love God, they're going to sell you some Bible and all of that. There you go.
Yeah, I mean, churches, I mean, we know, I mean, we can talk about churches for a second. Like, a lot of churches use location, especially the mega churches, like the churches that with thousands and tens of thousands of people. They're advertising on social media. They're doing SEO and AdWords and Google. They want to be the number one church in their city, in their zip code, and bring in more people and help families. I think their intention, I don't really know their intentions, but it seemed like they're in the right place. But they also need data. Data, as you mentioned earlier, is the new gold. Toilet data is the new oil. Data is powering all the AI that we all use every single day. It's training on exhaust that you and I kick out. It's kind of how it works.
Yep. So climate change people, you got a new complication. These AI generated centers. I mean, look, I'm for the climate change. I generally side with the left on that one. I might disagree with the solution, but I do agree with their general diagnosis of things. And and I'm still open to it. I just disagree in their execution. I just think we need to build more infrastructure, make it easy for people to pick more clean energy resources. That's just my thing. I criticize the left on the execution, but I think they have a good idea. That's why I lean at. When we need look, we want people to get on electric cars. We need a lot more electric charge stations. They be produced in mass so they can be cheaper, more affordable for regular American. Instead of the upper middle class or higher socioeconomic status people could just buy them and of course get an EV tax credit. Oh, I forgot. Trump took that out. So, Biden, that was a good time, to be pro Biden and all of that. One of the few things I prayed, I said, okay, all right, that's a good thing, I guess. That's not the issue. I was criticized I've criticized Biden in a lot of things, but not that one. So, and Trump, I'm doing the same thing. I'm criticizing the crap out of him with a whole bunch of stuff. I think I never started with so much criticism with the tariffs and all of that, and it's affecting all of us, whether you like it or not. We got suffer through that pain, whether you like it or not. If you're super wealthy, you ain't gonna feel that pain. And and the millionaires. Not against you, but just stating facts here. That's all I'm gonna say about that. All right, all right. Come, Eli. What are you doing? What are you doing? Get back to the tech stuff.
Sounding, sounding,
Oh, but this is relevant stuff. The only thing I would add about mega churches, I think I give them the doubt of the benefit. Yeah, I'm flipping that around because they're just about money and all of that. Yeah, I got my criticism with mega churches. I'm flipping that whole thing around. But of course, like they want money, they want to bring more followers, they want to be the number one. So I agree with your analysis. I'm just bringing my opinion on that. But it's on point. So what do you think? You think your host is crazy? What do you think? Walter is spirit conspiracy theories, and that's your activity right now, especially for the haters. Go at it. I will disagree, but remember, whoever YouTube censors you, not me. And trust me, I've got some hate comments. I don't delete them. YouTube will take them out. So once I put it on Rumble, ironically a safe space, you could throw your crazy comments there compared to YouTube. Okay? That's what I'm going to say. And I got to keep giving that because I think people like to play convenient dementia or amnesia. You're not Biden. Biden, I'm graceful with that. I try not to criticize that because I just say he was unfit for office. So don't play that. Don't play that. Especially like 20. Stop. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't speed certain things up. Don't do that. Alrighty then. So, not if I get to this question after all this political church rambling, this is gonna happen in the podcast. So, all right, let me behave. Man. How is this data being weaponized? And you know what? I know I'm talking about dating, but let's do it because it affects
Yeah.
politics. Politics, policy, and even dating apps.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a trend right now. Everybody's talking about that T app. Have you heard of that? Yeah. And from started on the, I mean, obviously, I think it started from a good place with women trying to figure out who's safe to date in a city, and does this guy have this, or whatever going on? And some Reddit guys got upset, and there was some hacking and some doxing, and it's just no bueno at that point. So that's one example. I do think, though, data has helped the data ecosystem, right? So we've actually helped participate in some studies by MIT and others that showed, like, hey, how is Tinder and Bumble or Hinge or whatever? How has that changed the whole dating landscape? Well, I think there is some benefit, right? So if you're living out in Podunk, Wisconsin, right, hundreds and hundreds of miles away from the city center, we keep talking about Wisconsin today for some reason, you can now date people in Milwaukee, right? And they can show up instead of just dating the people that you prior already know who was in every third grade class you had out in the country, as an example. So that's a benefit, but I obviously think there's some downsides because I think you can, from a data perspective, learn a lot about the people you're dating and try to use that against them in a pretty bad, manipulative way. So I think as a consumer navigating through all this, you should figure out what data do I want about me to be out there, and the stuff that I don't want out there, don't post it. Do not post it. Obviously, there's a whole AI tools, whether it be like Gemini, Anthropic, or ChatGPT, that just sit and scour the web all day long. That's their whole job. And to understand and give people answers, and that's the good side of it, arguably. But there's also, why wouldn't there be negative AIs? Why wouldn't there be like this black box doxing AI that does the same thing from an equivalency? And I just feel like people should be a little curious there. I think as we get closer to political things and, maybe you're a high target, data can and has been weaponized against people, to the public, leaking phone numbers, leaking emails, leaking photos, all that kind of stuff. But there is protection. You can understand the apps that you're using, go to the App Store, Play Store, read the nutrition label, which are now, it's all there. This app has access to my financials, my contacts, my location, my bank, my all that other information, and say, do I want that? Do I not want that? Go in your settings and change it. You have full control. I think that's what we need to do more than ever. But Elijah, as I keep saying, the app is so good though, right? I love TikTok. I love Instagram. I love whatever app you're using. And you don't even think about it because somebody sent you something hilarious and funny and you want to share it with your friends and be the first person to share it. Just automatically just send breadcrumbs over and over and over again. So you're in a data exchange. Just make sure that exchange is continually worth it for you.
Yep. So even if you do your VPN or your cleanup, once you just say I accept, you just undid the thing. And that's what I've been saying. That's why I just say, you know what? I'll just do a little cleanup every once in a while and just you alluded to this, but you didn't say these exact words. Be more conscious what you post. You're gonna be ashamed of it. That is wisdom. That is just internet, social media, wisdom 101. If we're gonna do a new course, Gen Z, you need that, believe it or not, because you're the most vulnerable. You're just almost as vulnerable as the boomers. Tank, yeah, because you surf the web so much, you think you know everything. I would say the millennials and even the X, we are the least vulnerable because we know and we have like a foundation to experience, sometimes to, professional learning and all that, but let's do personal experience. I mean, I started using the computer when I was 5 and I was mid 90s. Yeah, I made myself a little bit, but and then the internet came a few years later and I learned how to do that as a teenager and all that. So I already have, I'm kind of I don't want to say internet historian, that's too egotistical, but I lived through the transition. Let's just say I lived through that transition. I was like the last, my kiddie days was like the last of pre-internet days to, and of course, when I got older, internet evolved with me. So it's as a millennial, it's interesting to go through that transition and no nostalgia trip. I will criticize you. Look, we in a new era. Is it tough? Yes. But, I think this is why the millennial and the X are welcome. I mean, the X were like the real big major consumers of the internet. Let's be real. I mean, millennials weren't old enough to use a computer, most of them. All right. And a lot of I would say the first was a tech grads, I would say like the major cohorts, if you will, were X, not
Yeah.
millennial. Because, I mean, X is the one that produced a lot of this stuff. Well, not Facebook, but the stuff prior to that. The stuff prior to, like the MySpace, for example. Oh, yeah, we going real old there. So
Mhm.
they were the pioneers. Millennials like the second generation, Gen Z is like the third. You could debate that against me if you want. Go right ahead. But a lot of boomers do struggle with the computer. So just saying. It's not ageist. I've trained my mom to use it. She's become pretty wise with it. She asks me questions when she don't know. She just don't assume things. So I'll give that credit. And I had to learn to develop patience. I was that stereotypical man and I was just, Bron, you don't get it. And I was like, okay, let me calm down. She came from a different time. I gotta remember that. Way pre-internet days, okay? And we gotta be more empathetic and sympathetic with that. They was not born with the internet. Us younger folks were. So let's just keep that in mind. I don't know why I feel like I'm a boomer lecturing you young folks with all this stuff. But that's just, but I think, you bring some good points when it comes to this weaponization of data, and even some positive points to it. I know even weaponized is generally a negative connotation to it. How to use it against you for dating politics. Oh, let's just use me for example. They look me up. Oh, this guy's a radical lefty. He supports Black Lives Matter and all of that. I'm a bit, I support the NRA. I don't want to date that. I look like a loser anyways. Out. So they use that data against you and all that. And yeah, well, what about in politics in policy? How are they able to do they just target people to join political groups or
Yeah, I mean, if you think about the
um,
last election, I mean, I think it was, you probably know better than I do. It was like 100 or 200,000 people actually were the key people determining the election. And so you want to hyper target those key people, right? I'm in Chicago, Illinois. We already know how we're going to vote. We know how New York's going to vote. We know how California's going to vote. Wisconsin, it's Michigan, it's Pennsylvania. Like these are the states that we really cared about. So let's hyper target on not even those states, the counties within the state, the people within the state. And those were the biggest. And also, as we go to like the Iowa and, like, as we begin a political process, let's see how people are going to turn out well with these Republicans or Democrats from like the primary perspective. Let's just, before we even run an ad, let's do some geofencing and see how these people mesh. I mean, it makes sense. It's a low cost, pretty quick way to meter something or someone. So in the data world, it's kind of cool because you can like test something at low cost, like, and iterate and learn pretty quickly. And politics is the same thing. Let's test this person out, see how they, meter. And if they meter well, let's run with them and we'll get them to the next test. So it's happening a lot. Lots of geofencing, lots of trying to buy voter data, the voter file, see what you voted. People who've gone both ways, kind of like yourself, Elias, are kind of interesting to these groups because, oh, he was a Republican here, Democrat here. Who knows what he's going to be or she's going to be on the next one? Let's try to get an inkling of that before we even get to the midterms, because this is what we're all talking about right now, and try to do some AI modeling on it powered by data.
well, this is my prediction. I'm going to say for the second time,
Here we go.
Republicans barely keep the Senate. Democrats take the House.
Okay, that's a safe prediction. I can see that.
By how many seats is where it's going to get interesting. I'm going to go with 5 seats majority
Okay.
for Democrats.
Democrats take the House, Republicans keep the Senate. Okay.
And for my prediction, Republicans, I think they will lose 1 Senate seat. So it's gonna be like, yeah,
Yeah.
that's my prediction. And I mean, I like to predict these things. Could I be wrong? Of course I could be. Feel free to chime in if you think I'm crazy or I'm onto something. I mean, this whole Texas redistricting, this is why it's happening, because they they know they're gonna lose the House. The way they do, they know. And I already been critical of the House representative. I'm not gonna get into it. I've said it in previous episodes. I didn't talk about the redistricting that much. I want to do an episode on that about how each states are handling that. I mean, California's putting that in the ballot for the upcoming election. Let's see how that goes. They're predicting that they could flip 4 Republican seats blue, but Texas, they're gonna have 5. So see if Colorado's going to join. I think JB Plitzker even expressed interest of that as well. So we'll see how they do. Sometimes, they talk tough, but they don't deliver. And that's something we got to pay attention to, people.
There's actually
generally speaking. Yeah, go ahead.
I think it's an natural good tie-in. So let's talk about Gavin Newsom, for example. Whether you like him or dislike him, that's not really the point. But from a data perspective, he launched a podcast. He's talking to people on the left, right, middle. The guy is running for president. And one of the key things for winning presidency is familiarity. Trump, like him or hate him, is everywhere 24/7, trying to control the news constantly. And Gavin's like, you need more of me. Just recognition, recognition, recognition. Yes, there's things in his record he's got to fight against the state he represents, good or bad, or wherever you're at in that political spectrum. But from a data perspective, all of us listening and watching, like, someone's trying to put themselves out there that much, there's truly an agenda behind it. That is for sure.
Oh, no, of course. And if you say otherwise, especially you in the comment section, you're drinking the Kool-Aid or you're on deep copium, all right? That's all I'm going to say to you. Come on, he's definitely running for it. And as of course, these hypothetical polls, he's the lead right now. He's trolling Trump right now, and he knows that's the way it works. Do I agree with his political discourse? Hell no. But so far, it seems to work. Is it going to lead him to victory? Well, that's a good debate. That's a good predictive debate right there. And we'll see. We'll see. So for JD Vance, it's the default coronation, assuming if everything goes normal. But we all know politics is weird as heck these days. So I don't know. Will Gavin Newsom put upset? Maybe. But like you say, he has to, of course, show off his achievements and defend against his weak record. And that's going to be interesting because it could go either way. If he adapts really well, then he could win it, and I'll call it an upset. But if he can't defend, especially the fires and all the other policies that went bad, he's going to go down. And Republicans are vicious. I'm telling you, they are vicious. So
they are. You also don't want to be ahead too early. We've seen that on the Republican side. The people who are ahead early and you think the governor of Florida, you're like, oh, this guy, I mean, DeSantis, even when Trump won the first time, he wasn't ahead early. So you don't want to peak too early. That's never typically a good sign.
Oh, that's a very profound point. You see, you don't need to be in politics to be wise. You can just zoom from the outside. No, that's a very good point. If you peak too early, because it was pushing DeSantis. Trump knocked the living bleep out of him. All right. Early too, mind you. And it was Nikki Haley. She resisted for a while, but the inevitable is going to happen. It was Trump. Even though he lead in the polls, he's an exception to the rule. I will not use this whole Trump 2024 thing as a normal predictor because, he's interesting. He's an oddball. You should not peak too early. Who peaked early? Oh, for 2016. I think he had Jeb Bush. It was about Jeb Bush. Yeah. He knocked him down. He was aggressive. He kept targeting the next one to peak.
Ted Cruz. And he went down the list. Marco Rubio went down the list. Kept going.
Yep. So even though, this is a slight nostalgia trip in politics, rather you love them or hate them, that's irrelevant. But you should know that. But he does bring up a very good point. And yeah, that's why I said maybe. But that's why I always leave maybe because, look, things are finicky. It could go down real quick. Who knows if AOC could pull an upset? You never know. Okay. Or someone else out of nowhere, a dark horse. So, that, and it may I'm not sure about the Republican side. It looks stable for now, but you never know. It could be another dark horse as against JD Vance. I'm going to
Yep.
run. I'm the real MAGA successor. You never know. You never know.
Yep.
And I'll be more interested in the 2028 election because I'm tired of talking about Trump, to be honest. I'm tired of it. The
Yep.
MAGA train is too much for me, to be honest. But hey, anything you want to add before I wrap this up?
No, I mean, I definitely think from a data perspective, my job as a data person who deals a lot in this data is to be a communicator. I think there's one side that says privacy is dead. It doesn't really matter. They know everything about us. Don't forget about Snowden and the NSA and all that. And other people are just like, I will make sure they know nothing about me. And you mentioned tinfoil hats and like VPNs constantly and reset my identifiers and clear cookies and all that kind of stuff. And I think there's like somewhere safe in the middle, right? There's somewhere in there where you don't have to like be a box troller constantly trying to like reset everything. At the same time, you're not gonna be like, look at me. Here's everything about me. There's a happy medium somewhere.
Ooh, that is a great fertilization for a debate. Is there a happy medium with data? I mean, I'll be interested to see how that goes.
Mm-hmm.
The pro data miners versus the anti data miners, and then who knows, the third camp is the moderate data miners. We'll see. That'll be interesting. That'll be interesting debate. I don't know where I would lean at. I think for practical purposes, I'm leaning towards whatever. I just will not now search for certain things. Again, just adapt my behavior from there based on what I learned. That's all I'm gonna do. And I recommend you do the same, especially stuff you're not so proud of.
Yep.
Once you're proud of, keep doing what you need to do. So, alrighty then, let's do that shameless plug-in. And he alluded to it at least a couple of times. So check out Walter Harrison, especially whocameby.com. Check that out. That is very low. It's very local data mining, and it's not creepy at all. It's just business, pure business. Okay. This is the ethical side of data mining. Yep. Because even though the big companies do the same, but they give you this deceptive terms of service that is so tiny and not easy to see. And they have like these super biblical paragraphs about your legal data that 99.99% of us do not freaking read because we don't got the time, and our attention is no better than a freaking goldfish. Okay. So
yeah.
let's be honest about that. All right. And they also got Instagram and a LinkedIn page as well. Anything else you want to add before I do the finale?
Yeah. If you guys want to learn more about Who Came By, you can go to whocameby.com, get a free report. Geofence anything in the US. It's not a sensitive location. Learn more about the people who go there just for free.
Come on. I've been pushing more affordable products, okay? I know a few of myself like 1,000, 2,000. Yeah, that's valid criticism. I'm not going to defend against it and say, yeah, good point. If the criticism makes sense, I'm not going to argue against it. But if it's just nonsense, hysterical, then I'll say, calm the hell down. You don't make sense. Go to therapy or something, or go express your anger at Reddit or something. Like, comment, subscribe for YouTube. Click that notification bell. Click on all if you want to be caught up and get all the notifications. All right. And remember, if you comment on YouTube, I would say be a little more cautious if you want to be censored. It's not me. I believe in freedom of speech. And even though that shouldn't be a left or right thing, it should just be protecting rights on that one. Okay. And don't say free speech like right wing thing, because both parties have failed on that aspect. Both of them. And I could tell you about how the Republicans failed on free speech. Especially about canceling certain medias and using anti-Semitism as a cancel word. I mean, that's how the right wingers fail. I already talked about how the left wingers fail multiple times, and I agree. No. All right. So, and leave a review on Apple Podcasts. I don't care about Spotify. If you leave a review there, I will happily ignore it. Okay, and if you have a little extra green, that was up to you. You donate minimum $3 a month, and you get access to my old cringe content. I'm going to start thinking about posting some exclusive stuff, and this is where I'm going to go off the rails. And you can think I'm the most craziest person in the world, or maybe there's a method to my madness. We'll see. But that one, I'm not putting that on YouTube publicly, because there's going to be certain opinions I got that are, I would consider radical to some people, and you go behind the vault for that one. Yeah, this is the more public entrance to it. Like the front of the mafia. Let's use the mafia example. Like it's a laundromat, but behind closed doors is something else. Think of it like that, except that you get mild Elias behind the vault. You can get uncensored lies. Okay, and
There you go.
I will just do that. So it's just a different versions of me instead of just a legal business within a legal business. It's both legal. Okay, so whenever you complete this audio or visual journey, you have a blessed day, afternoon, or night.